Some children don't grow up, they get replaced. And by the end of this, you'll understand something about yourself or someone you love that nobody ever put into words. Stay with me. People say children are like clay. They become what they're shaped into based on how they're treated while growing up. But some children don't get shaped, they get used. It usually starts in a normal house, on a normal day. Not with a big moment, not with an announcement, just raised voices in the next room. At first, the child doesn't understand what's happening. They just feel it. The tension, the silence that follows, the way the air in the house changes, and slowly, without anyone saying a word, a thought begins to form. Is this because of me? No one tells them that, but it still feels true. They connect things on their own. They exist, and things go wrong. So they start believing they might be the reason. And once that idea settles in, something shifts. They stop asking for things, not because they're mature, because they learned quietly that their needs took up space the house didn't have. Maybe that wasn't you, or maybe you know exactly what that silence felt like. It's a Saturday afternoon. You can hear them outside. Kids your age running, laughing, arguing about rules nobody really follows. You're standing near the window, just noticing. And then you hear something shift in the next room. A door closing a little too hard. A silence that has a shape. And something in you just adjusts. You don't go outside, not because you can't, because you already know what the house needs right now. You go back to what you were doing, or you start doing something nobody asked you to do. Tidying, checking, being present in a way that feels useful, and no one notices. Not because they don't care, because this is just how you are. Mature, responsible, easy. But you didn't choose that. You just learned to stop bringing them in. That's not maturity. That's a child who learned to disappear. Have you ever known someone like that? Or maybe you were that kid. A parent walks in, sits down next to them, and starts talking, not about something easy, about the other parent. The child sits there, listening, not because they want to, because leaving feels wrong, because staying feels like the only way to help. Something moves in their chest, not anger, not sadness, something quieter than both. The feeling of being needed in a way that's too heavy for the size they are. And they get used to it, not in a dramatic way, just quietly, the way you get used to carrying something heavy enough times that you stop noticing the weight. The more they step into that role, the more it feels like the only way they're allowed to belong. And here's where it gets complicated, because they got good at it. At school, the teachers say he's mature, serious, responsible. Adults smile when they say it, like it's a compliment. He smiles too. But at home, he's managing things a child shouldn't have to manage. Emotions that aren't his, silences that need filling, tension that needs absorbing. And nobody connects the two. Nobody asks why he's so serious. The people who called him mature were describing his survival, not his personality, and nobody ever said sorry for that. Now, here's the part nobody talks about. Some of these children hear things they were never supposed to hear. Not in a confrontation, not in a dramatic scene, just in passing. A comment made in anger. A sentence that wasn't meant to land the way it did. Why were you even born? You ruined everything. A child doesn't hear that and think they're just upset. They hear it and they update their understanding of what they are. Not, I did something wrong. I am something wrong. That's where shame begins, and it doesn't disappear when they grow up. It becomes the lens through which they see themselves. For years, sometimes for decades, without ever having words for where it came from. But here's something that matters. Most of them never realized any of this was unusual. They thought every house was like this, that every child carried this weight, that this was just what growing up looked like. It's only later, sometimes much later, in a conversation, a quiet moment, something they read, that it lands differently, that they realize this had a name. What they lived through was real, and it wasn't their fault. That moment of recognition can be the most painful and the most freeing thing at the same time. There's something else these people carry into adulthood, They learned very early that anger was dangerous. Not their anger, the anger of the adults around them. So they stopped being angry. Even when they had every right to be. Someone treats them badly and they apologize. Someone crosses a line and they find a way to understand it. They became so good at absorbing other people's emotions that they forgot they were allowed to have their own. Does any of this sound familiar? And all of this, the silence, the role, the weight, creates a very specific kind of adult. Years later, they're the reliable one. The one everybody calls. The one who shows up. And they're good at it. Genuinely good at it. But nobody ever asked them how they learned. Nobody ever wondered what it cost. There's one thing that gives it away though. Watch how they enter a room. Before anyone has said a word, before the mood has been named, they've already felt it. The slight tension in someone's shoulders, the pause before an answer, the smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. They learn to read rooms before they could read books, not because they're perceptive, because at some point it kept them safe. But here's the part they rarely say out loud. The evening ends. They get home, close the door, and the silence lands differently than usual. There's nothing wrong tonight. No one needs anything. No problem waiting on the other side of a message. They sit down. Their hands want to pick up the phone, not to check anything specific, just because stillness has always felt like the moment right before something goes wrong. So they sit with it. And somewhere in that quiet, a question surfaces. Not dramatic, not sad, just honest. Who am I when there's nothing to fix? They don't answer it. They just let it sit there, because some questions aren't meant to be answered right away. They're meant to be felt. So here's what this is really about. What everyone calls strength was a child doing the only thing they could think of to make the house feel safer. That's it. No special resilience, no unusual maturity, just a small person trying to hold something together that was never theirs to hold. And that child grew up, and the world looked at them and said, "You're so strong." And they smiled, and they kept going, because they didn't know how to explain that the strength everyone admired was the scar tissue from something they never got to heal. You didn't grow up fast. You were never given the chance to grow up slowly. And there's a difference. One sounds like an achievement. The other is a childhood that never happened. And the people who call you strong are often the ones who never had to carry anything themselves. And if you want to understand what happens next, how someone who grew up like this learns to love, to trust, to let someone in without bracing for impact, that's exactly what we're going to look at. Because the way these people connect as adults is one of the most misunderstood things in psychology. So tell me, did you get to be a child, or did you have to become something else before you were ready? Some people didn't lose their childhood. They just never got to have one. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't the weight you carried. It's realizing you were never supposed to carry it alone. So, don't explain it. Just leave one word in the comments. The one that stayed with you.